Frustrated.
Let's go. Welcome. It's Sunday night, and I'm excited to have an amazing call tonight. So make sure you guys are listening in. If you're picking this up on YouTube, thanks for joining us. And I'm with my co-host this way or that way, depending on which way you're looking at it. The X Factor. What's going on, man?
X Factor's in the house. This is the patented X that we did last IG Live. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it to the Zoom. X Factor in the flesh. Sunday night. And I wanted to say to everybody, episode 10, we made it. We are double digits in. I want to thank all the subscribers, over 500 of them. I want to thank all the people who tune in to IG Lives, all the people that tune in to Zooms, our wonderful guests. Tonight we got my guy Erion, an incredible guest as well. But just everybody that's came and everybody that's made this what it is. Appreciate everybody. X Factor in the house. Let's get it.
I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, over 500 people. I don't know how over 500 people are as excited about this as we are, but we have over 500 subscribers. So if you don't subscribe, you should. It's B Minor and the X Factor. So if you're watching B Minor and the X Factor, if you're picking this up, check it out. You won't want to miss this conversation. We're with my man, Erion. Erion, I've known for quite a while. He played at Southern Oregon University where I coached. He was there a little bit before I got to be there as a coach at SOU, but I got to know him through Southern Oregon and Coach McDermott and some of the players that knew Erion. And he's just got an amazing story, and I'm excited to hear more kind of from you, Erion. And definitely, I've always respected you and admired your perspective and attitude. And I never got to see your jump shot, but I think I might be able to take you one-on-one now.
Maybe.
Maybe, exactly. That's the type of attitude you have, man. And so tell us a little bit about your background, man, where you went to school, and then how you picked the 2-year school, and then how you ended up at Southern Oregon.
Yeah, I'm from California, the Bay Area, and I played in high school out there at Tennyson, and then I moved out to Stockton and played for East Union High School. And then upon graduating, I didn't get a high enough score on the SAT to go to schools that I thought I wanted to go to. And I was an undersized center, so most coaches I met or people I talked to was like, you probably should go junior college route, build up, develop more of your game, and I was okay with that. So I went back to the Bay Area and played for Foothill College. And let me take that back. When I first get there, our first season, we get in trouble for illegal recruiting. I'm 6'6", but I was probably the second shortest on the team. And that's what got the league's attention. Like, wait, y'all have an NBA lineup for a community college? Something's not right. And, through investigation and towards the end of preseason, they figured out a lot of stuff was going on, and they just suspended everyone. We had a lot of players from France, Spain, and North Africa. So pretty much I lost that year. That was 2001. And then I went to Modesto College the same year, did track and field. At the end of that season, that's still the 01-02 season, I get a call from the original college, Foothill, and they're like, hey, you can come back. The players who weren't involved in the transfer are fine to come back. But I guess she didn't follow up with the rules, I guess. And this was the athletic director that called me. And when I get there again, right before the first game, she's like, well, for some reason I didn't know, but you're still suspended. I guess she didn't know that playing a previous sport at another college will not allow you to play the next season's sport at a new college you transfer to. Or that rule, you have to sit out a year before you play another sport at another school, or else people would, go from Oregon State baseball and Oregon football. So I sat out another year, so that's 2 years gone, and I'm full time, by the way, so I'm not even getting red shirt or gray shirt credits. And then 2003 and 4 and 4 and 5, I played both seasons at Foothill. And at the end of that second year, so that's 4 years of community college, by the way, I had 187 credits when I left, because I also did full-time credits in summer. And then I had the opportunity to go to a few different schools. Southern Oregon became the choice over schools out of Alabama, Jackson State, which I only had 1 year of eligibility. No, 1 year of scholarship. So I lost scholarships for D1 and D2 because of the probation that I was on from the previous year. So, you know, the 5-year clock, they said your scholarships is up. You can only get 1 year. So I had to go to D3 or lower. And some of the schools were okay. Everyone was nice. But the school I really wanted to go to was Laverne, which is in Southern California. But what happened at that school was I was supposed to be there for probably 2 days, but I stayed for 2 weeks, and we partied almost every day. And I asked them, I said, this is ridiculous, because we went through finals week, Hell's week, all that. And I was like, you know, something's not right. I said, I've never partied that much in my life. What's y'all majors? And one of them said, oh, most of us just PE majors. With some of them, there's a chemistry major guy. He's in class. And I was like, I don't think I can hang out with y'all. I shouldn't judge.
You might not have had a degree if you would have chose there to go to school.
You know, I thought that. I ended up doing better, but I just didn't want to take that risk. I was like, that's, you know, and it was, you know, Division III don't give athletic scholarships.
Right.
So it was, the coach's sell was that there was only 15% of men at the campus. I see everybody thinking, what the heck is that, right? Yeah, he was right. There was 85% women, 15 were athletes, and I was like, yeah, that was probably the reason I said I can't do this. I don't know how focused I'd be in class. I visited my class, you know, it's LA, so I said, Coach, I can't do it. I don't want to set myself up for failure. Even though I was a better student than I thought, it still was one of those things where I was like, I'm not going to test it.
I'll tell you what, that's a responsible decision right there. For a college student to make that decision, took a lot of brain.
I was like, yeah, I was just like, I mean, I wanted to, but then I was like, let's just go the safest route. And I did want to leave the state, and I was real close to my grandmother, and she just wanted me to go to where she could visit. So Southern Oregon became an option. Actually, my athletic director at Foothill, her son was the track coach at Southern. So that's what made me want to go. But then the year I get there, their track team is canceled. So, but I still had basketball. And long story short, that's how I ended at Southern Oregon, just trying to get out of state but stay close enough to home that people can visit, which they did. A lot of friends and family visited while I was up there.
That's great, man. And you got to play, so you played 2 years there because it was NAIA, correct? You got to play 2 years?
Yeah, I did my 2 years at Foothill. We were good the first year, not great the second year. And then Southern Oregon, same thing. Good the first year, not great the second year.
And then tell us a little bit about kind of your journey, or kind of give the people that don't know your story, give us a little bit of how things have been going since then.
Oh, yeah. So my senior year at Southern Oregon, I started having physical issues, but unexplainable ones. So you guys may have or will hear the term invisible disability, where people look normal on the outside, but something's, you know, pulmonary or something inside. And so I started complaining about things that were changing. I think the first thing to me was I couldn't palm the basketball. And most athletes or most people who do physical things, that's when they notice something's wrong, is when they can't do something at the same rate or speed or strength they did before. And that's when I started noticing I couldn't palm the basketball anymore. And then fatigue started kicking in. I didn't have the endurance to last maybe more than 4 or 5 minutes at a time. And then I started getting the hand swelling the following year. And that was a tough year because no one really understood or believed that something was wrong. They just like, you know, senioritis was the term they used for people, you know, who they feel aren't trying hard their last year of school. But, you know, trying to fight through that. And then I go through that. And then a year later, I try to play some semi-pro. Same issues. It get worse. I'm going through the doctors, but they're kind of just saying, okay, we'll fix this problem. We'll do physical therapy. We'll, you know, test your blood, but they weren't finding anything. And when they did, they said it was rheumatoid arthritis. So they just said, go ahead and deal with it because you're too young. I was about 22 at the time. And then when I turned 23, that's when I got diagnosed with scleroderma. And it's an autoimmune disease. That means hardening and tightening of the skin. And basically, it's collagen building up to protect you because it doesn't recognize your body at this point. Kind of like when you get a disease or a cut, your body's trying to heal itself. But now it doesn't recognize my body at all, so it's fighting against it. Over from 2008 to 2012, pretty much my body just starting to harden. Everything I couldn't, like if you look at my hands, they got so tight I couldn't even open them anymore. Couldn't open my mouth. The skin was so tight you could see it pull from my thigh to my face. I went from 6'6", maybe 205 to about 125, and then I did a stem cell transplant in November 2012 in Chicago at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Went all the way out to Chicago, and it stopped the disease because it's chronic progressive, so it stopped the disease in its track. And since then, just rehab. I mean, I most likely will never be 100% because when your joints are damaged, kind of like people with arthritis, or when your skin tissue get hard, and when your therapist say you got to keep rehabbing, there's a reason why. Because once your tendons tighten up and harden, you can't just stretch them again. That's why they do different massage techniques to kind of, it's like Christmas lights tangled up, and then they got to iron that out without touching it because you can't open your skin. And so since then, I've done different activities. And now I kind of do some cycling with a recumbent bike. And those are the bikes you see laying low to the ground. That's the most I can do because I can't sit up and reach out anymore. My arms I don't have that 7'2" wingspan anymore. And I ski. I do adaptive skiing. I can stand up, but I can't look forward. So pretty much while I'm going down, I have to peek up and make sure no kids or trees are in my way because obviously that's pretty much how I stay active. I do some yoga. I try to do some lifting. And yeah, that's where we at up until 2020.
That's amazing. And how old are you now?
36. I'll be 37 in a couple weeks.
That's amazing. Just pushing through, just continuing on with the rehab. And that's a remarkable story because I know, obviously, I mean, I can never even begin to imagine that. But, being 22, 23 years old, like you said, and just starting to go through that has to be like, wow, I've been playing basketball all my life. And then now
Right.
I have to make this transition to, taking care of my body and taking care of my life, being as active as you can possibly be. And I'm sure that's been challenging.
Definitely, because, you want to be able to do what you can do. And your mind, if it's strong, is still telling you can do it. Your mind is like, you can do it. You'll get to it. You'll wake up in the morning like, oh, yeah, I'll just get up and walk to the kitchen. But as a matter of fact, in 2012, I did end up in a mobility scooter. So I forgot to include that. I've been in that since 2012 because my knees didn't straighten. But now I can use a walker more often. And depending on who I'm with, sometimes I walk unassisted completely because I believe that they would catch me or at least be able to help me up if I fall. But it's a 6'6" drop. So that's the other thing. I've fallen at this height, and it's just not the same when you're not an athlete no more, falling on your noggin or, not being able to control which way you land.
Well, man, I love that. And I have a quote here that I'm going to share from an article that I found. You said, I have no time to get depressed. When I first found out about the transplant, I said, I'll get better after that. Now all I can think about is getting better. It keeps me focused. I can't get depressed. I know I'm getting better. I just love that quote, Erion, because that just shows your perspective, and it's incredibly motivating for me just to see you positive, and sometimes you flip me a little shit at times, but that I'm going to dish it right back to you. And we've always had that relationship, and I admire you and think that's an awesome perspective. And I love that you're skiing and staying active. And you said what do they call that bike that you ride now?
Recumbent.
Recumbent.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just I admire the way you're staying active and staying upbeat. And it is an inspiration to get to hear your story, man. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you. That quote came because, first of all, in talking shit to you, is I told you my mind is still there. My body may not be able to back it up, but my mind is saying it's still gonna be there to talk. But really, at that time, I had, and like with most people who you see that are fighters or still positive, mostly my influences from family and friends, the ones that stuck by me. Because, my appearance changed, my body changed. I didn't move the same, but I still had the same core family and the same friends that first of all knew that it wasn't me complaining for no reason. But as my health started to become an issue, when the doctors didn't think I'd make it, they still acted the same. I wouldn't let them cry. They know now, if you call me, we got to talk a little mess first. And at the end, we can't end on a bad note. Even when I was in the hospital, you can't call me sad. So it kept it going. And people were still saying, I couldn't do what you do. I'm glad you're here. So a lot of positive reinforcement from people kept me, motivated and going. And so why would I want to flip it on them by saying I'm not happy, I'm not doing well, when in fact the only thing different was at the time my physical well-being. You just got to be able to adapt to what happens. You got to be able to accept the changes. So that's what kept me going.
That's incredible. I love the positive mindset that you keep about it, because like it's so easy. And you know what? Actually, you know how we do. I know you've tuned into a couple of our shows.
Yeah.
We do the quotes of the night. Brant and I both have a quote of the night. Knowing that you were going to be our guest tonight, you kind of inspired my quote of the night, which
Right.
is the habit of persistence is the habit of victory. Meaning,
Yes.
you could have easily, why me? This is terrible, and it is terrible, obviously.
Right.
But instead of saying that, you want to talk to people on the phone and shoot the shit still. You know what I mean? You want to
Yeah.
talk to people on the phone and still have a good time. You don't want people, you want people around you to be happy because you're keeping a happy mindset as well. That's so
Right.
inspiring, man. Like in all honesty, because, I've had scenarios where, I had people, down, had people in the hospital, and, it's extremely hard for their mentalities to be sharp and to be positive. And, I 100% understand that. You
Yeah.
just raised the bar of, listen, man, I'm going to be a warrior. I'm going to be
Yeah.
I'm going to be out here. I don't care if I'm 205, 125, 25.
Right.
I don't care what I am. I'm going to be out here just spreading positivity, spreading love, and we're going to shoot the shit regardless of what's going to happen to me. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you inspired my quote tonight.
Definitely. And thank you. And it's you know how it is, like when you're in a bad mood, you don't want someone else to come with you in a bad mood. For some reason it just makes it worse. It's like watching a funeral and then hearing bad news. So I save the sadness for real situations. There's assaults going on in the world, deaths, and like that's where I save my empathy. If I'm limited on something, that's not enough to depress me. I just got to say, well, I got to accept this and go around it. So you're right. The persistence to stay that way, to stay active, is a motivating factor.
I got one. Results happen over time, not overnight. Work hard, stay consistent, and be patient.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's just you're living that quote of results happen over time, not overnight. So it's got to take the time, and you could, give up or say, oh, well, this isn't helping, but it's not right here, right now. You got to keep working hard to get mobility and keep your body healthy and be patient. You can't worry. I think our society, a lot of people want things instantaneously.
Right.
Instead of looking at what's going to matter down the road, it's what's going to help or what's going to feel good right now.
Yeah.
And you got to stay consistent and persistent.
And there are some people, and I'm one of those people that look long term. Some people look right away, like you said. Some people, a couple of months or years from now. But I'm a long term person. Like everything I feel like I do today, I feel like, will it affect me in 5 years? You mentioned earlier that I said when I do the transplant, I'm just gonna get up and running. I did believe that, right? when I was a kid, I saw the commercials, people struggling to walk, and I'm thinking, I'm an athlete. I'm just gonna get up and run. I didn't understand the body like I should have. When you're an athlete, you get some ice, you get Tylenol, you rehab, you good. But something also that you said over time, not overnight. A lot of people know that you don't even notice your changes as much as someone else will, right? Because for me, I could be doing all this rehab and I won't notice anything. Someone will say, "Oh, you're walking great." I don't notice it until maybe I go from 20 yards to 100 yards in 7 months. But people are watching you in that in between and say, "Hey, just last week you can only work 20. Now you're at 30. That's improvement." So I had to accept the fact that like you said, it wouldn't be the next night that this leg stretching won't work. Keep doing it, and then a month later, then I can get a 1 degree improvement. You know how they measure how much improvement you made. So it took me a while to get used to the fact that stretching today won't work tomorrow. It's got to be, maybe a month of straight stretching, and then I might see a little improvement.
That's a lesson right there. That's most things in life, right? Like lifting weights. You don't
Yeah.
lift weights. You don't starve yourself one day and lose 10 pounds the next day.
Right.
You don't, it's not right here, right now. We talk about the crock pot versus the microwave.
Yeah.
We're more like a crock pot mentality of slow cooked, thoroughly cooked rather than instantaneous right here, right now.
Right.
You got to get up in the morning, you got to cut the vegetables, and you got to think about dinner time in the morning. But the crock pot, it's always better. It's always better than the microwave.
Yes, it is.
You're making me hungry over here. Come on.
Right.
Vegetables and slow cooked and all that stuff. Come on now.
Right.
Toss some roast beef in there and cook it thoroughly rather than the microwave where it's always cold in the middle.
Yeah.
And hot as hell on the outside.
Right.
Hot pockets. Hot pockets. That's the biggest problem. The middle of the hot pocket, the outside is always like, "Oh man, this is like burning. I can't even touch with my tongue." And then you get to the middle of it and it's frozen. You're like, "Oh,
icy still. Icy.
Yeah.
Icy like a hockey puck."
For some reason, mashed potatoes was the worst thing I ever heated up in the microwave. I don't know why I can't. Something about mashed potatoes. So yeah, I use a air fryer or conventional oven now.
We're gonna make this a segment, B minor. Microwave struggles.
Challenges. The challenge of the instantaneous society where you want the food right then. You don't want to have to prepare earlier. You just want it quick and easy.
Look, I grew up with my grandmother. She worked 12-hour shifts. I respect the heck out of what she did, from coming home from being a nurse and then still making food that night. Y'all know how it is. We don't have work. We don't have class before a game. We go to a game 2 hours. Don't nobody want to cook when you get out of a game. We, "Coach, where's the pizza? Where's the chicken and rice?" I wasn't trying to go home after a game and cook. That was just 2 hours. And she on her feet 12 straight hours taking care of patients. So I started respecting the older generation after trying to do two things: cook and come home.
I feel you, man. That's awesome that you said that was your aunt?
Grandmother.
Your grandmother that to work like that and then to still come home and put food on the table and not just say, "Here's some trashy food," because it's easy.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest transitions for me coming from high school to college, because in high school, I was always with my family. So if I come back home from practice or school or whatever it is, I know I'm going to have food on the table at this time. So I have just enough time to go take a shower or whatnot. When I got to college, actually my roommate's in the other room right now. He can attest to this. I am no kind of cook whatsoever.
Uh-oh.
One of the worst. He actually told me one day I tried to put a plate in the oven. He was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I didn't even know what I was doing wrong. That's how little of a cook I am. But it went from having food all the time to, man, what am I going to eat tonight? And putting plates in the oven and maybe destroying the whole thing.
Oh, in the oven. Oh, yeah.
In the oven, yeah. Open the oven and
don't put tinfoil in the microwave either.
Right.
I did that a couple times too.
Uh-oh.
But caught myself early enough. Thank God.
Thank you.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, it's great to see you. It's been a crazy time in our world, but getting to hear from you and chat with you and connect just kind of gives me some of that fighter spirit, man, and definitely want to see you pretty soon. We're not that far away, and definitely got to come check out a game at Pacific this year.
Definitely. It's I don't know about you guys. It's hard to sit on the sideline and not play, right? Like I said, I still think I can get out there and defend this guy or outscore him or something like that. But it's still fun to watch college basketball because, you know, a lot of them playing because they think they can make the next level or they know this is it. So those are still your better players, right? Or playing at an intense level. So even NAI and Division III is just still exciting to watch in person.
Pont gets to watch DePaul, Big East basketball. He gets to watch right there, courtside seats, front row. And if it's not very close, he might get into the game. So there's that excitement in it too.
Yeah,
That's the coolest. I'm like the biggest DePaul fan of all time. I can watch the games with the jersey on. I can root on the guys, you know, my teammates. And like you said, best case scenario, we're blowing the other team out and might actually get some action.
You know, it's weird. I started thinking because I can't put my arms out to catch myself. I can use my legs more, but I used to sit courtside. Now I'm like, man, if a body comes to me, I don't know. My service dog, she really ain't gonna help. She's not built to fight. And when I fall, she just really sits on me. I don't know what that means when dogs sit on people, but that's her go-to when I fall. But I don't know if I can sit courtside anymore, so I try to sit at least 2 seats up.
First thing I thought of when you said that is, you know, that little snippet of Shaq running towards the
yeah.
and everybody moved out.
Right. And I would be that one guy that ESPN say, why did he sit there? You know, because they don't know why I'm sitting there not moving. I'll just sit there and
just take it.
Just hope for the best. Yeah, I'm not going to try to dive. It's going to be worse. So I'll just sit there. I know it's because I think that was like he had did that one night before, and then the next night back in Phoenix, I remember him diving in the crowd and just everybody parted the whole sea. Yeah.
Like Moses.
Right. Have you guys ever dove into the stands?
Well, I never have. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I was never the player that was known for the most hustle. So no, I never done that.
I dove a lot. I hit the floor a lot when I was young. I took a lot of charges because I'd get people mad because I'd kind of, you know, give them a little elbow, give them a little nudge, or you know, then I'd get them, we're in your face, pressure defense, and then they'd swing an elbow, or not that I'd flop, but I'd, you know, try to get them to go back. I would flop. I would flop a little bit, but I would instigate it. And then when I was playing, especially at Portland, when I'd only get in for 3 or 4 minutes, I mean, that's the most I could play. Best case, right? If I don't turn it over, I don't screw up, the game's going to be over in 3 minutes, right? So I played like a kid on speed. I just played as hard as I possibly could. And my first game, I had 7 rebounds.
Oh, nice.
In 5 minutes.
Man.
7 rebounds in 5 minutes, Erion. And I took a charge, and I dove on the floor. I don't know if I dove into the crowd. I think I got my shot blocked into the crowd.
We don't have to mention that part.
I usually don't tell that part of the story, but I'm going to be real with you guys.
Judgment-free zone.
Sent away. Just got blocked straight.
Right.
I was like a collapse 4. So like you were saying, like I'd get the ball in the post and teams would have to sink down and help in on me.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise I could step through, crossover, baby hook right, baby hook left, jump quick and finish. That worked in high school, right? College, the post was like, it was Matt Short from Oregon, 7-footer. Like, no joke. Like, I'll never forget that, right? He was 7 foot tall, and his name was Matt Short. I mean, you can Google it, right? Matt Short, right. University of Oregon, it shows up, 7 foot. And he just waited. I pump faked. Then I went up. Boom. It was one of those he probably could have caught it.
Yeah.
Like, he probably could have just caught the ball. But he just wanted to make they were beating us. And it was kind of just like not today, like threw it.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a little bit of a wake-up call to Division I college basketball. As a 6'2" white guy, they were like, boom.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that game.
No, it ain't. We played Oregon and Oregon State my first year at Southern Oregon. And it was different to play against 2 7-footers on the court at the same time versus one. But luckily, I was able to be okay with it. You know, I didn't get my shot thrown. But a couple things you mentioned brought me back to some of my playing days. You mentioned not being dirty, but doing the flopping. I never tried to take anyone's foot or knee out, but some people would say I played dirty, you know, my first couple of years, but I never got in trouble. But there was one time it caught up to me where I kind of regretted it later. So like if you had like a taped wrist, finger, shoulder, or your back was hurt, if I knew something was wrong, I'm going for that body part as much as I can. Well, this dude, something happened to him a couple of days earlier, so he was bandaged on his chest. And I only saw it because when he changed his jersey or took off his top, I saw the bandage. I'm like, okay, just a couple, normal shots on rebound with the elbows. Well, and what he would do, he was one of those like Matthew Dellavedova dudes that just always, or John Stockton, where they push you and hit you when they're going across screen. They always got something to do, right? Well, I said, okay, he's going to keep doing that. We both knew what each other was doing. So it wasn't like this was unexpected. But in my head, I said, on this next screen, I'm just going to elbow him in the stomach. Well, for some reason, he decided to duck on that last one, and I knocked both his teeth out. Yeah. Ooh. And I didn't know at first until until later in the game when someone was like, well, he had to go to the dentist. And I was like, oh, and I really didn't mean it to knock him out. I just meant to give him a little tug to the stomach and, could be karma today. But, yeah, that was one of my last times that I was throwing sharp elbows on purpose. But that was one of my last moments where people said I was intentionally dirty because I felt horrible for that. It could have been his eye, right? And you know how sharp my elbows are, so.
You had a 7'2" wingspan?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And also, you mentioned your first game. My first game in community college, which also gets you in trouble. You ever have your best game and your coach is like, why can't you do that? And you like, it probably was just that team that let me do it. My first game, 24 points, 22 rebounds.
22 boards.
Yeah, it just happened to be a team that they had the slowest center I ever seen in my life. And our bricks, everybody's bricks was just flying across. Nobody was like dropping it into the key. They were all long rebounds, and he just wasn't mobile. And so I was just cleaning up the boards, and then the coach, for some reason, he just assumed Coach Rose. He just assumed that would be how I played for the rest of my life. But I was like, well, nah, Coach, I'm still undersized and underweight.
I had one good game.
Right, yeah.
You came out the gate strong, though. 24 and 22, that's a nice inaugural game.
Well, and you guys know how it is. You don't even know you're doing that, right? Because it's not like in the NBA or NFL where they're telling you as it's going along, hey, you're at this streak, you're at this record. No one's saying anything. And it's at the end of the game where we get all our stats back, and the coach is like, look at this. And
I didn't get 22 rebounds during my whole college career, Erion.
Well, I'm a center.
I started with 7 my first game, and I don't think I got to 22.
Well, you're a guard, so we let guards get away with that. The only thing I don't like about guards is when they don't block out and they get their player gets the rebound, and then the coach blames the center. We're blocking out a 7-footer and somebody else, and here comes, like a Steph Curry just runs in and lays it up, and coach is like, you got to get the rebound. You're like, man, I got a big body behind me, first of all. If I release, he's going to get the ball too, but don't feel bad. I didn't have too many rebounding guards. That's probably why I was a good rebounder, because I've never had a guard like Jason Kidd or someone that can actually go for the boards.
Yeah, well, my whole so far 3 years at DePaul, I got a whopping total of 0 rebounds. So hey, maybe this year, we'll make that a change.
Look, if you ain't gonna rebound, you need to treat your center to dinner. We gotta work together on this.
That's one of those where it's like, I've learned as a guard, if it's coming down and I can get it or my post is getting it, I'm letting him get it.
Right.
right? Like, because I'm not collecting rebounds, right? Like, I mean, I'm not getting my bonus based on like those extra rebounds. So I'm making
Yeah.
for my post. If it's a gimme, right? Like some people are, I couldn't, if I was a post and a guard was like taking those 50-50 or just like trying to go after ones that I'm about to get, it's like,
Yeah.
really? You're trying to like pad your stats like that?
And that's a newer term because I don't remember any guards in our neighborhood. I don't remember any guard in my conferences averaging more than 4 or 5 maybe. So I don't think it was a I don't think it was a problem. No one was calling stat pad, but yeah, now I think everyone's trying to average triple doubles.
Luca can do it. Some of those passes that guy drops, he's dropping dimes, man.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
Luka's doing right now in the league is insane. These stat lines he's
definitely.
putting up are like, so he's a unicorn.
Right.
Rare.
It makes me miss. It makes me wish that we had these 6'9" and taller guards, all and guards players. You know, the Lamar Odoms, the Arvydas Sabonis, all these agile 7-footers that played all over the place. Like a good matchup. I would love to see them match up against each other because they can all do it.
Who plays with their back to the basket now?
Consistency,
The
consistent
Joker?
wise, I don't know too many people.
Nikola Jokic, he's a shooter.
He's
Yeah,
a
he can shoot
shooter.
by the court.
Back to the basket is not common and it's not sexy, right? Because it's not appealing. Like that's why people didn't. Tim Duncan was probably the last one, and people said he was boring. But if you're a post player, he actually did everything you're supposed to. He back you up. If you take away his backup, then he just face you and hits off the backboard. And because his game was called boring so much, who wanted to come behind him and be called boring the whole time?
Nobody,
Yeah.
but
Everybody now wants to be Steph Curry and shoot it from 40 feet, right?
hey,
Even
meanwhile,
Manu,
Tim Duncan's laughing his way to the bank though for everybody that's telling him he's boring.
exactly.
He did
I
okay.
would love,
What did he win? 5 rings?
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
5 rings,
some of
lots
your
of money.
best centers, the people you would name as your top 10 centers, all play back to the basket. You know, so that just lets you know how hard it is, how rare it is to be that way.
Hakeem
You know,
Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal,
Shaq
like
Diesel.
Patrick Ewing.
Patrick, David Robinson, Moses Malone, he was probably the best center in the 80s. So
Obviously,
Karl Malone, he was another favorite who could play anywhere on the court.
the mailman,
Yeah,
Karl Malone delivers on Sundays.
yeah.
Kareem will take you down there back to the basket, hit a little sky hook. Ooh.
Hakeem Olajuwon's like footwork. He was like a soccer player. He had amazing footwork. Hakeem Olajuwon's footwork was incredible. Ian said
Hakeem.
Rudy COVID
Oh,
Gobert
yeah.
is a
Yeah,
back to the basket guy, which could
yeah.
I mean, he could be a back to the basket guy, but
He's a big
I,
boy. He's a rebounder in the flesh, that guy.
yeah. He does it. I don't. He's not as strong as the people he back up, but I think if like Dwight Howard probably should have been the last big man because he had the body for it. He was doing some weird running sky. I don't know what he was doing, but I always feel as a center or a 7-footer, you should be able to have 2 moves that you miss because you missed, not because it was just defended so well. You know, you should be able to. Mine was a jump hook or a turnaround. If you took away the jump hook, I did the turnaround, and I was quick enough, footwork enough to go back to a third. But every post player should be able to have 2 moves that, you know, the sky hook is good because no one can really block it. I think Wilt Chamberlain was the only one that got a block, and he did it twice in one play or back-to-back sequence. But you have to be able to shoot over someone with the same wingspan. That's why Dirk was harder to guard because he was able to not only use his height, but he used his wingspan to get the shot off. And I don't know if what about playing around the basket. It's physical, it's enduring, but it's fatiguing. But you just gotta play through it.
And then on top of all of that, then you get a guy like Kevin Durant who's dang near 7 feet tall. He's a guard. This guy could be a guard if he wants. This guy can play any position, knocking down threes, doing anything. Now we're going out of the center range. We got 7 foot. Like, come on, that's crazy. How do you guard that?
I agree with that. I think that's the reason more that guard players are getting away from the basket, because if you're so good down low, you're going to have a problem trying to guard someone up top. You're probably not as quick. But eventually, I guarantee you, within 10 years, there's going to be a 7-footer who is quick on his feet out there, enough to guard. But it could also, because I would always think, at 6'6" in 2001 to 2005, you are playing at this point 6'6", 6'9" guys that played outside the basket. But then my advantage was on the other end. Now they got to come in and guard me, and it's harder on the inside because it's easy to get a foul trying to stop. And as you guys know, you play to the refs. Some refs let you play physical. Others are like, hey, no touching. Like, I grew up where you can put a forearm in someone's side, and then when I came to Oregon, the refs was like, you can't touch at all almost. You barely have a body. So I feel like the way the game is called now, somebody at 7 feet should be able to take advantage of. You can't seek in as much, because my first year in college, we played 4 out, 1 in. You couldn't seek in on us because we had 4 shooters. And now with the way everyone shoots, and we had a 6'9" guy who didn't want to play post, so that made it even better because they couldn't switch on us. Because if you switch, then he would have the advantage trying to get a shorter player. So I feel like somebody should take advantage of that and go down there and just dominate around the basket. Hopefully.
It's not going to be me. It's not going to be me. But maybe somebody I coach one of these days, because I do still teach a lot of the footwork, drop steps, step throughs, crossovers, baby hook right, baby hook left, drop, just simple drop step to get started, and then a counter move, and then you got to have a little dream shake in there.
Oh, yeah.
Shimmy, right? And
that was all I could do. That's an undersized play, by the way. That's what you do when you're undersized and quick. And Coach K, X Factor, you should be learning how to post too, because some of your favorite guards, Chauncey Billups, what was Andre Miller? I mean, these are old school short, but they played around the basket when they got down there. Jason Kidd.
They got a little bit more height on me too. I'm a powerful 5'8", like I said. So
right.
I guess if I get in the post around somebody else 5'8", I guess I can try my luck. But otherwise, yeah, I try to stay around the 3-point line and behind. Can shield me a little bit. I get scared when I go past it.
I feel like, I don't know. So you guys tell me. So I'm 6'6", and I would always say you should be able to score over someone at least 6 inches taller, because you should be able to have some type of advantage over anybody sometimes, right? Till you get to that next level. But do you guys think if you were on the post, you can score on someone 6 inches taller than you?
I do. 6'8", but not 7 foot.
Yeah, 6'8".
I could score on a 6'8" kid. I did it in high school a lot. There was a lot of 6'8" posts, but another 4 inches and athletic.
Right.
Didn't have to jump on my ball fakes.
6'2", yeah, I probably could. I definitely could too, actually. I for sure could. I mean, not every time, not every time, but I could definitely put something together, though.
If you got, I don't know what plays you guys run, but if you get that back screen as a guard and you end up, so that play where most of the time you're at the top of the key, you pass it to one of your bigs, and then you go down like you're going to set a screen for somebody, turn around and post. Because what happens is, we had this incredible play. Well, it wasn't a play. Me and a teammate made it up, but it became a play. I told him, I said, the dude is not expecting you to stop him. He's thinking you're going to go down and come right back up. Just turn around and put a butt on him. He's not ready for it. He did that the first time. It worked right away. We did it 3 straight times. So then they try to counter it by being ready for it. And the guy stopped up above him. So I just threw it off the backboard. Not like a dunk, but where it was a soft pass off the backboard to drop down into his hand. And then he put it up and got a foul behind the back. So I just use that example because I think, anybody could get a post play on somebody.
Coach Erion, I like it.
The future of basketball.
That's got a good ring to it, Coach Erion.
Yeah.
Just like the wise, knowledgeable Coach Erion, giving us some information. So, well, that's awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you joining us, man. It's great getting to connect with you. Like I said, I enjoy enjoy getting to chop it up every time we do. So let's definitely not wait too long before we do it again.
Definitely. Did y'all have any questions for me?
Has anybody got any questions? Anybody that's watching now want to ask Erion anything? We'll see if anybody's got something, or we can wrap it up and just unmute the lines here.
Let's see.
From my perspective, I think you answered all my questions and also served as an inspiration to me and taught me about basketball and told me that I should post. So I like all those things.
You should get a post play because you're going to get a rebound under the basket, and you got to be able to put it up. Exactly. I was one of those players that always tried to draw a foul. My coaches hated it, but I love to just do that pump fake or jump into somebody.
Get to it.
Also should have said one of my favorite games was the final score was 18-24 because you could kind of say it was bad offense, but I think the defense was great. There was a lot of blocks, a lot of steals, a lot of defensive rebounds. And it was a preseason game, but nobody could get off. I think our leading score was 6 points on either team. And I remember that game significantly because of how bad I got yelled at after the game. And all I said, the game went by so fast, they weren't even calling fouls. I just remember saying, is the game over? Is it halftime? And the coach heard me, and he just went crazy. He just was like, you ain't paying attention, this and that. I'm like, man, I'm guarding a 7'3" Brazilian guy. I don't know what you're talking about. If he had put up 30 points, then yeah, you can yell, but you should be like, good job for not getting, dominated all game by someone that had 200 pounds on you. But
they didn't put up 30 points the whole game. That's a good thing.
The total wasn't even 30 points. Oh yeah, it was. But it was, it still was a low scoring. It was a first half game, 18-24. And, I made one shot, and everybody was like, good shot. That's how bad the game was for scoring. And I remember who I scored.
Good game. Yeah. One bucket.
Right.
Good job. That was about an eighth of our team's points.
Well, it was a memorable one.
It was a memorable because I remember the dude, he was the best player. He wasn't getting off. I wasn't getting off, and I hit a pull-up, and he was like, oh, man, great shot. Nobody's getting off today. Oh, nobody.
Great shot.
I'm jealous today that all games are recorded and played locally because it's one of them games no one has the tape to anymore. We were still on VHS, and every other season they would just throw away all our games. So, yeah.
Yeah, they threw away a lot of my games too. The ones I tell people about, you can't find anywhere, and don't try to look for them.
Right.
They're gone. They're gone, I tell you.
Can't even find newspaper articles. Like, I'm struggling. I'm like, I know someone went to the game, but
man, I would be telling people I was going for 50.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can't prove it wrong. But
what are they going to say? Ask for the tape? There is no tape. But I did.
It got shredded. Well, hey, Erion, it's great to connect with you. X, closing thoughts?
Hey, you know what I have to say. So we might as well just get to it. If you're going to walk
on. That's a wrap.
I love it.